got this started. I kind of have a just kind of like a jumble of notes, but I had a couple things here on my notes. First off, I told Eric last night I was interviewing you. Eric from the past says, "What up?"
Oh, sick, Andes. I missed that. That's gonna be a dope interview, bro. Tell him I said what up.
That's
He snuck into the notes. I mean, that's my boy. That's my boy right there.
That's in there. He's super great in his chat, by the way. I don't
Oh,
think I've ever seen a nicest individual in my life, but good lord.
He's the perfect man for it, man. He was streaming when it was like 1 to 3 people, and he was the exact same, like, as far as, you know, in a way, like putting someone on or anything. Like the fact that he just does it because he loves it, and he acts the exact same and talks with chat the exact same, whether it's one person or 50 or 100 or 300. It's like, I'm like, man, you are the exact streamer. If I was watching Twitch, I would want to watch that guy. Like, I think that's why I'm pretty passionate about like putting some sort of not like spotlight on Eric, but I don't know, making it very clear that like, oh yeah, this is the guy that I'm grinding with, and also you should definitely watch him every night.
Oh, 100%. I mean, same thing with Shig too, but I don't think I've seen him stream yet. Unless I
No,
missed it.
he's been busy with like work life stuff. He has a kid, and it's like it's pretty full on. So I think it's something he expressed that he's been feeling a bit more inspired to do, but I'm not sure. He's got a lot of things cooking.
For sure. And I mean, streaming is also pretty exhausting, I could say, from time to time.
Yeah.
Even like on a very small level, like in your degree, you know, having to keep up with chat and donations, things of that nature, like it's a lot on a plate for sure.
It's super fun, man, but at the end of like a 5-hour stream from these past couple ones, and why I'm only doing it like 3 days a week is because it's like it is so fun, and I do really like the environment and everything, but I think you can even tell watching by the end of the 5 hours reading messages and talking to chat, my brain is fried. Like I'm saying words wrong. I'm like mixing things up. I like can't focus. It's like
and the second you press the end streaming button, it's just like it feels like a relief.
yeah,
it's just
like
I can breathe.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess first more proper question. You know, obviously the video went nuts. I mean, 2.2 million views in 2 weeks is crazy. I'm pretty sure it was high on trending at some point.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I didn't expect it to be anywhere near that level. Like I thought, okay, maybe it'll do okay, or more so, maybe it'll do pretty bad at the beginning. But it was, other than like the first night I uploaded it, it was pretty immediately like, oh, this is actually doing really well.
100%. And I guess the way it reached people, because it didn't just reach like the casuals and like your general fan base, but like I remember reading through the comment section, I saw Maui Snake. He's a well-known analyst. Get Right. He was in your chat yesterday. That was fun.
That was crazy, man. I hope I didn't scare him away.
I mean, a ton of people that are, I guess, well vested in the scene resonated with it. I guess really just like how does that make you feel? I know it's a little basic, but genuinely, like it reached everyone in the Counter-Strike community.
No, dude, truly, like it's crazy. Like I feel like I was saying it on stream about Get Right or Maui, seeing his comment, and then I was like messaging him a bit. Super sweet guy, because he was saying that he was familiar with my stuff prior to CS video as well, which I was also crazy on its own. But I just like, I think getting so deeply invested in everything Counter-Strike and learning most of these names on my journey of like, you know, more popular people like One down to like, I've talked about him before, but like my favorite CS streamer, content creator, I guess. That I always feel so dumb saying that term, but that is what it is, content creator. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It feels so pompous, but fucking doo-wop, or like Franz J, or and then yeah, on the more like professional side of like Sponge or Maui Snake, or you know, different journalists and commentators and analysts. It's like it is truly I still like, to be honest, even though it's been like, you know, a few weeks or however long it's been, it truly still doesn't quite feel real. I think the fact that I'm even regularly streaming now, and that's not something I was doing before, and that it's mostly Counter-Strike focused, like none of it, all of it was in my head as this like, yeah, when we get there, whatever, because I was doing it and working on that video for like, I think upwards of like 6 months
Mm-hmm.
between playing it and going through the footage and writing it and then making it that yeah, no, I think it just to I guess in a much less yap session way of answering it, it just doesn't feel real. It just feels crazy, and it's like it's big time just like grateful that not only did the video get received pretty well and didn't tank, but that I think it means even more so that first of all my friends were really stoked on it and it really touched them, but also that these like voices like Maui that I got so used to listening to for months and months watching so much Counter-Strike are that he was then talking about it on the PGL like Astana Grand Finals live stream that him and Richard Lewis like took a second to talk about it was just like the nuttiest shit to play back. Like it didn't feel real seeing in the professional like stream, hearing them talk about my dumbass, and then Maui basically being like, "Senpai noticed me in the comments." It's just like, bro, you're senpai. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like the Spider-Man meme. It's like, wait a minute, I appreciate you more than you think. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not senpai. You're senpai. What the fuck?
So I know like you had a background before. You talked about it in some previous videos before this one. I guess really, what made you want to make such a video on Counter Strike? Like, what was like the catalyst that really started it all?
It really is the thing I tried to make pretty clear at the beginning of like I'm no stranger to Counter-Strike. Like it was some of the first PC games I played were like in the video phrasing this so dumb were
Mm,
was Source that my friend Terry showed me, and it was exactly what I said in it, that it was like way more casual, that at most I would play like a regular mode map against bots and not fully really understand the strats or like why you should buy or shouldn't buy or any of the call outs or anything.
mm,
That I would sometimes play against bots, but it was mostly just like a deathmatch game or playing like gun game or other like community maps. And even within those, like counter strafing or like bunny hopping or QQing after you shot an op, like that wasn't stuff that I even knew about until I was hanging out with my friend Jake in high school. And that like then we were playing a little bit of Go that he showed me, and I definitely learned enough to be like, okay, I understand Counter Strike, but I would basically just do whatever he told me. And I don't even think I played enough to get a rank in Go, but between the years and years of like death matching between Go and Source, it was like 100 something hours or whatever. Like it wasn't nothing that was my entrance to PC gaming. But I think the thing that made it so interesting and intriguing to me once I was playing CS2 was I think a tiny bit like quarter or third life crisis of like it was months before I was going to turn 30, and I was just like really enjoying watching Jake get back into CS2 and grind Premiere, and that the second we played like a little bit of comp games, I think I don't know, I could just tell that like it was time. Like it was attracting me in a way that I hadn't really felt before. And then as I just talked more with Jake and the idea sort of came to like document it, because like I love sports documentaries and shit like that. I think it
mm.
was like the culmination of a lot of feelings of like, wait, what if I could do that on the gameplay side, but then also what if I could do that on the video side? And as I was recording every match in OBS, like initially for the first three, it was just like the game demos. That's why they were so fucked. But the OBS and on, like, I'm happy that those recordings turned out as well as they did, because I didn't super know what I was doing, but I was basically just recording the months and months of Premiere games and comp games. There were so many more comp games than I showed, man. It's like the like funny moments montage or whatever. There's hours and hours and hundreds of gigabytes of footage on my computer. Like, um, sorry, rambling, but
No,
I
no, you're
think,
good.
I think, yeah, the reason to make it, I think it was kind of the culmination of a passive interest that had always been there, and I'd like seen some esports stuff or researched some for like my esports video, and obviously
Hmm.
I'd watched Jake play a bunch. But I think as I started playing it more with him, and then he teach me a couple things, and then I looked up a couple things, and that with like Donk and Monacy and everyone last year, it was like a really fun, interesting time to jump in. So I think it was like this perfect storm to just finally magnetize me into the game, where I was like, haven't really gone that hard on a multiplayer shooter since like Halo Infinite first came out, and before
Hmm.
that it was like Titanfall 2 or maybe a little bit of Overwatch. And I think for a while I was thinking like as I've grown older, I'm not really fucking with multiplayer games and they just kind of lead to toxicity and I'd rather sink my teeth into like a roguelike or like an Elden Ring or something, but it something about that perfect storm of CS, it just fully reminded me like, oh no, this scratches an itch that nothing else can, and specifically CS scratches that multiplayer itch that I don't think anything else can. Certainly now, like I'm fully in love with it, but um yeah,
First getting
no,
into
just
it.
yeah, sorry, what was that?
I was like first getting into it, like that's why. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So
Yeah, I think it just a perfect storm, like a culmination of so many seeds that had been planted career wise and gaming with friends wise that it was like, okay, I guess this is the next thing I'm gonna make, and I have zero idea how it's gonna come together, but I'm not gonna start making it until I hit 10K. And then once I did, I was like, how the fuck do I tell this story?
so if you don't mind me asking, because you seem very on with CS2, which makes sense. I know in your video you showed a little bit of CS:GO gameplay with a lovely little watermark at the bottom, which I love. But that was just early YouTube, I think, or earlier YouTube that time. What did CS:GO not have that CS2 like didn't? If that makes sense, like what did CS2 have that really pulled you in comparison to CS:GO?
To be honest, I think it's always the thing of the like the point of entry and like what's the word I'm looking for? That I think aesthetically CS2 is a bit more inviting, even though in a lot of ways and how unoptimized the game is, it's actually a lot more brutal to the
Mm-hmm.
competitive player. But I think broad strokes mostly, I think it was me. I think that the game and especially Go and how Jake and other people talk about it with such high regard and its, later days of how dialed they had that feeling and looking and everything. I honestly think it was mostly just me that like at that point in life and time I wasn't feeling the desire to take that on and that felt way too intimidating. And that I think again going back to that sort of like quarter third life crisis or whatever, I think that it just got me thinking about like in a lot of ways kind of like skateboarding, which I think about still that it's like skateboarding where I've throughout my whole life, most of it, since being a young adult, I've had this like passing interest, but I'm never fully like committed to trying to really sink my teeth into it. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think just reflecting on all of that once I was playing CS2 and that it's gone through so many iterations and I've played for, 100 maybe 200 hours across Go and Source but never really like played it. I was like, okay, I think it's time. But I think that if you replace CS2 with Go, but that it's just still around in modern times, I think the same thing would have happened. I think the game and making it a bit more accessible and a bit more easy to understand, at least in the ranked mode and stuff, at least initially to me with just like the UI and everything, like honestly, I don't even think that's that big of a part of it. I think it's just me and my my point, my
Mm-hmm.
age, I guess.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess we could see that. I think that Premiere was a very relevant addition to CS2 instead of the normal matchmaking system, but also like having matchmaking be a different rank for every map, which I guess has some relevance. Uh, but I guess Premiere, in your video you were very critical of it in the positives and negatives. Do you think that that matchmaking system could be optimized at all? Like, do you think it's fine as the
Yes.
way it is, or
No.
if you think if you think it'd be better, what could be improved?
I think the weighted individual performance should be a thing. And basically what Faceit has implemented in a pretty minor level, but maybe even more of a major level that I think the win-loss streaks need to be tuned down, and I think that that would mostly be agreed by people that like you could do really well. And I think it's those two things combined that you do really well, but you still lose. And because there's no weighted, like, okay, you lose less points because you did well and you're on a loss streak, say of 3 to 4 games, you suddenly are losing 500 elo because you had like pretty bad team. And like I stand by my point I made in the video that Jake had made too, that like if you want to rank up, you consistently kind of have to be the carry. But I think
Mhm.
everyone that's played a significant amount of CS knows like that's not always enough, and you really can just have shit teammates that are team killing or just not playing together, and you can pop off to your best of your ability and drop like 3k damage and still lose. And so like I think the fact that I have recently, since getting back into streaming, got my rank back and it was like 10,300 or something. And after, which maybe this isn't a good example because I also did pretty bad in some of these games, but I think because of the compounding loss streak that I'm already back down to like 8k after like 3 to 4 games, I think is just, that feels kind of wild to me. I think, and the fact that I did like pretty good in some of those games. I don't know. That's a bad example because I think honestly I just did pretty bad those games and it's probably deserved. But I think in theory the optimization of having more of a weighted system for how much you gain or lose depending on your individual performance, even though it's still broad strokes mostly depending on the win or loss, and then um the win loss streak not being as punishing because it just, in theory, I guess I get it that it's like, hey, you're losing a bunch, so clearly you're bad. But then also how it factors the points based on the elo of the other team doesn't always seem to make sense, because you could have one where everyone is a similar elo as you, but for whatever reason, you would only gain 100 and lose 500 if you lose. So it's
Mhm.
like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not gaining that much? And I think that's that loss streak stuff that I think as is, it's just really, it's really discouraging. I think especially to a new player, it's like you really have to be committed and love this shit, which at this point I do, and I'm like very accepting of the fact that it might take a really long time to get to 15k because of it, and I'm like at peace with that after going through all the ups and downs. But yeah, I think those two things combined really need to be reevaluated, along with just, I don't know, the whole handling of when someone gets disconnected and kind of what happens, or the fact that doesn't really tie into how much you win or lose either. That if one of your teammates abandons and you lose, you still lose the same amount of points. I think they
Mhm.
could ease that up too. Like if at least if it's not like round 10, say it's like round fucking 4 or something, and your teammate leaves and then you lose, and maybe you only lose like half as much elo or something. Like I think they could do tweaks like that, not even in a big way, that would ease some frustrations. But as is now, I think it's like, I think it's way too punishing.
100%. I mean, all great points. One thing I would add as well would be the promotion matches. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I myself, in the past 72 hours, I'm on the cusp of getting up to 15k, and I have gone through the streak of getting right next to promotion, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win.
Fuck, bro.
It is brutal.
Yeah, man.
It's just so like, when you win that one to get back to the promotion, it's like, okay, great. And then when you have that follow up loss, it's just so brutal. It's just
Dude, it's horrible. Yeah, no. I
it,
feel you. Yeah.
it's not rewarding, but at the same time, it kind of motivates you more to get that, that over that hump, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think with that stuff, I think that you're right, that it's fucking maddening. But at the same time, I mean, kind of the point you already made, that it's more rewarding and that it almost feels like this like boss fight or something. I think the fact that they also have the relegation match, that like you have that bit of armor once you cross it, that you have to lose 2 in a row to lose it. I think because they have that, it makes me feel more forgiving about the whole promotion matches. But at the same time, like, because of all the other shit we're talking about, to even get to that point is so maddening. It's like, I guess what I'm saying is, in a perfect world, the promotion matches are a really cool idea, and having those like certain thresholds. But I think in practice, it's fucking such a dice roll, man, especially if you're solo queuing.
yeah, you you had a perfect term for that. It was like a hellish dice roll when trying to do something with a solo queue, which makes sense because you could have some fantastic people to queue with, and sometimes you have just the bottom of the barrel racist garbage, just
Mm-hmm.
not great. uh, So when it comes to, I guess competitive play, I know you have some goals with Premiere, but outside, I mean, including those, do you have any goals when it comes to queuing? Like whatever it be, like, if you're trying to get global on a certain map, level 10 faces, something of that nature, like what do you have ideas for?
I think 15 feels realistic, but still hard enough that like it's gonna. I'm expecting it to take me a while, and that feels like an appropriate grind. But
Mm-hmm.
I kind of make the joke in the video too of like, man, in some ways I probably should just be playing Face It. I think that Premiere, because it is baked into the game, and that it's what. I mean, I don't know if I know enough to say that it's what most people play. Maybe in North America it's what most people play, but I don't even know if that's true. But I think just because I've already committed to that, and because, in a dumb way, it is the number that again is like baked into the game. I think that I feel pretty solid about wanting to achieve. But as far as, yeah, getting global or anything on like a comp map, no, like I think competitive is strictly just casual with the homies. That anytime we play that, like I'm pretty sure on most maps I'm like silver or gold Nova 1, just because I don't play the same maps over and over. And then when we do get repeated maps, I'll go up to like gold 4 or something, and I'm like, oh, cool. But like, it doesn't really mean anything because Jake is just going nuts, and I
Mm-hmm.
maybe have like some good moments or whatever. But I think because I could tell I'm gonna play Counter Strike probably for the rest of my life. I think eventually, um, getting to 20K would be pretty awesome. But I don't know if I would even want to commit to that. Like honestly, post 15K, I might switch to Face It and like kind of start the grind over in that way, because I think setting a certain goal to get like, Face It level 7 or 8 or something crazy like that would be pretty cool. And I think never say never. That I ultimately, I think the best way to sum all that up is I think to just be good enough to be able to queue with Jake in like a competent way. Because technically, when I got to like 12K, I could queue Premiere with him, and we did it one time, and it was like kind of okay, but I could tell I was pretty out of my depth. But I think getting to a comfortable point, maybe like 15K plus, where it's like, oh, I can actually like queue and be a good teammate, and we get to like play this competitive game together, like in a ranked mode. That yeah. Fuck everything else I said. Honestly, that is like the main goal to chase, is just being like good enough to run with him.
That's fair. I could definitely relate to that myself because I have a couple friends that have reached like the 25K, 26K elo.
That's
And
nuts, dude.
yeah, I tried queuing with them. They're located in EU, so I was playing with NA Ping, and I could definitely tell, even with how many hours I have about 6,000 myself. That's out of the water for me. That's a bit too much because that's like cream of the crop players, for some anyway. I mean, some people get there magically. Who knows? Uh,
Oh, and by cheating. I think that's the other thing with Premiere, is that like from from the shit I've read, or maybe just heard people talk about, it seems like Face It is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but
mm,
with Premiere, it seems like the vast majority of matches, if you are 20 plus K, um, the likelihood for cheaters is just crazy.
mm.
Would you say that it's similar with Face It, that as you get to the like Face It level 9s and 10s, that it's like cheater zone, or does Face It have a much more effective anti-cheat?
So it's kind of odd. I think we're at an odd spot when it comes to Counter Strike and anti cheats really as a whole, because you know Counter Strike's trying to develop VACnet and trying to get something that's more accurate that bans cheaters quickly and things like that. And
Hmm.
for Premiere, yeah, I would say definitely 20K and above. The people that I know that are in those ranks talk about that constantly, and it's not even something where it's somebody spin botting and dropping 60 kills and going nuts like a helicopter.
No, it's low
It's
key.
something
Yeah,
very like a radar or like maybe a wall hack, something more on the
Clara
tame
Tech.
side. Yeah, Clara. The weird thing too, though, is Face It. I've also heard of people getting around that too, which is crazy because that's kind of like the one that's put on a pedestal. It's like, go here if you don't want cheaters,
You
but
see, that's what I've heard. That's the impression I'm under. Yeah.
which is so weird because like I have friends of mine that like they just started to Face It. They're like level 4 because I think it's like the starting rank you get, but they're level 4 and they run into like a blatant wall hacker at that level. It's not even just something where it's like FPL where it's the it's just the pros, and ironically as we're talking about this, I think a couple days ago, 3 different people in FPL got banned in North America for cheating. So, ironic.
Jesus, dude.
But yeah, no, I think we're in a very interesting spot right now for Counter Strike and anti cheats. I feel like Valve will cook something up sooner rather than later. And face it, I mean, definitely they have to, especially if they're going to host more competitive events. Because with that event that just happened recently, and I'll try to send you an article on it. Those people won like the league right below, going towards like tier 1 for North America for like pros. So it was
Jesus. So people are getting away with it. They're definitely on the low with it.
Yeah, and even those people that were cheating that got caught, they're saying that other people are doing it too, which you could hold
Which
some
is probably
truth to that,
true.
but
Yeah,
it probably is.
yeah, it's so fucked, dude.
But I mean, things will develop sooner rather than later. I mean, Counter Strike still is, at least for CS2, it's still fairly new. Like if we compare it to like how Go first started, because I mean that was pretty scary when that came out. But anywho, moving on from just core Counter Strike stuff, I want to get into the pro scene because you've talked about that a fair bit on stream and in other areas. You talked about it on stream before, Vitality being your favorite team.
Hell yeah.
I guess, why are they your favorite team? And I guess alongside that as well, do you have like a favorite pro?
Yeah. Yes, and yes. That I think it's still, early enough in it, but I think I obviously a lot of people are gonna think it's like, oh, because bandwagon, or oh, because Zywoo, and it's like, don't get me wrong, Zywoo's sick, but honestly, so much of it is just watching them play as a team since last year when they had Spinks,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's basically just through consuming a bunch of different stuff of like documentaries or watching games and things that I've just really acquired an affinity for each individual player. And I think Rops in particular, because I also really liked FaZe, which I didn't expect, just because like you see FaZe and you expect like what we know as FaZe is like, influencers and shit. But
Yeah,
FaZe
yeah.
Counter-Strike is like its whole own different thing with this crazy storied history and stuff. And like watching all of the things and reading about how Rops got onto FaZe and just his insane movement tech and his just like passion for the game and everything, and just how he's like a fucking android. And then him going to Vitality, which was a team I already really enjoyed watching, and that Apex is fucking nuts. I think his whole deal of just like being like a fragging IGL that has his moments where he's just like somehow the best on the team, even though a lot of the time he isn't, and that he's just like talking crazy shit with his French accent and stuff, which is like, I think the fact that also that he's a bit older and he's just been doing it for so long, like I don't know, and then obviously Zywoo and Flamesy and Mezzy, that just like I think it's just a combination of happening to watch a lot of games with them even before they were this like super team they are now. Like they were already good, don't get me wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the combination of like learning more about Apex and Vitality as a whole and just that history, and then learning about ROPS and the history of FaZe, and then those worlds colliding, and it's just like, I mean, how the fuck am I not gonna love this team? But I think I would say that ROPS, I just really love watching him play. And obviously it's, dude, I think the crazy thing too is there's this really great video on YouTube about Super Smash Bros as a spectator sport, and that he talks about, I think, like wrestling or these other sports where you get older and you kind of realize like it's really just drama. Like
Mm-hmm.
the reason any of us are into any sports, or why you could get into any sport, whether it's lacrosse or CS, is just like once you know about the players and the stakes and sort of the history of it, and that you get invested, and it's like, oh, it's storytelling, it's drama. And so I think that being the leading thing of why I really like watching Counter-Strike, even though like I would say Vitality is my quote favorite team, I'm like just as excited if other teams win the Austin Major for like these different dramatic reasons, like Nico with Falcons, even though fuck Falcons, but you want him to get a major, or Simple coming back to FaZe and that being such a crowd pleasing crazy moment. If like Kerrigan leads Simple and everyone to get a fucking major, that would be the craziest thing, and people would be like, no, fuck Zywoo, Simple's the GOAT. Like there's so many different outcomes that I'm also super on board with. I'm definitely not someone that's like, the fucking Green Bay Packers have to win and I hate every other team. It's like, no, I'm stoked. I'm stoked if Vitality win and they keep their streak going and establish themselves as this just like fucking Super Saiyan team. I think that that's hype as shit. But like, if someone beats them, like, heroic, or these other teams that have at times come close, like, I think that's just as exciting, and I think that that just adds to the storytelling of it all.
Yeah, so I guess kind of going off of that as well, mentioning their win streak. I don't know what level of familiarity you are, but NIP back in 2012
Mm-hmm.
got the longest win streak consecutively in CS. It was 87-0, 60 matches consecutive. Vitality, I believe they're currently 29 or 30-0, so they're
They're
pretty.
30.
They're
They're 30. Yep.
Oh yeah, with the Dallas finals. That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Do you think? I guess one, if they could beat it, but two, do you think that because of how different modern Counter Strike is to when that initial win streak happened, do you think that this is more impressive, or if it's just they still have some more work to do?
I think honestly that question is like above my pay grade because I mean, it's kind of like Get Right getting into the chat yesterday that I know who he is and I've seen clips and I know how important he is. But when it comes to specifically witnessing those teams during that time, I mean, and a lot of that is even earlier than what you're talking about. But like,
Mm,
I think I can't, be a poser and act like I was there or I really know what I'm talking about. And I think as time goes on and I, read more and hear about more things, I come to appreciate it. Like all those great documentaries on YouTube that talk about Go, I think are like I could watch that shit for hours, like specifically the Red Bull ones that they made. But I guess I don't know. I think that someone like Jake that has so many thousands of hours across the games, or it sounds like someone like yourself could answer that a lot more effectively of as to like because I don't know, what do you think? Do you think with the different tech and the addition of the volumetric smokes and how movement works and the net code and all that, like do you think that NIP would excel as much if in a vacuum if they just replaced Go with this game? Like it
in
feels
my
hard to
opinion,
tell.
I think that Vitalities is more impressive just based on the modern. I guess the modern mechanics for one, but two, just how the game was played back then to now, they're truly just night and day. Like if you watch some of those older demos from back then, they're not like super sharp where they have certain XX and it's so beautifully played and there's so many highlights. Like this 30-0 win streak, like we could watch back I Am Dallas and there's just plenty of things just to pull from that just from Zywoo alone. But
Right.
it's just so much more technical in particular, like where people pay attention to the tiniest of details. Like there's
Yeah.
people that play like pixel angles to see if a person comes toward them. It's crazy. But
Yeah, I mean, sorry to interrupt real quick.
you're good.
Are you familiar with like Smash Brothers and specifically Melee?
I've looked into it here and there, but I mean, if you have any recommendations on things to watch, I am more the merrier.
Oh, yeah, no, there's a lot of really great stuff to get into the scene, but I think pre Counter-Strike, that being the competitive game as a spectator, I've definitely gotten the most into. You're making a really good point that I think is convincing me that even though, I haven't watched all that Go stuff, that I think just
Mhm.
on principle, you're probably right because with fighting games, specifically Melee, the skill tech, even though it's an old ass game, has continued to just go bananas. That people talk about that of like, oh, do you think fucking Ken, who was like the goat with Marth back in the day when they first developed like wave dashing and all this tech, they're like, do you think Prime Ken could beat blah blah blah? And it's like, no offense to him, but Prime Ken couldn't even beat like an A tier pro now just because the skill tech is they're doing shit like you're talking about with CS that they wouldn't have even thought about doing before. That I think as time goes on, it's like, yeah, the game might be different, but the point of entry of what skill is required, like I don't, thinking about it in that light and seeing some of the clips that like Donk has hit in such quick timing and succession and everything, it's like as at least as far as any CS:GO that I've watched, I don't know if I've seen anything of that level as frequently, but I don't know. That's why I'm like I feel like I need someone more experienced to answer that question, but you're definitely convincing me because that all sounds pretty correct based on like my experience watching fighting games and stuff is that's kind of just how it works as time goes on. The fucking skill ceiling just keeps getting higher and higher.
So I guess with piggybacking off of that, with ever increasing skill ceilings, you recently talked about how you turned 30 and getting back into CS again. we see players in the pro scene like Kerrigan, for example, who I think he's 34 years old. Steele, who's an analyst, but he's 35 and still actively plays. Do you think that age really has like any significance when it comes to, I guess, being good in Counter-Strike?
I think on a small level, but no. I saw a post that I think on the subreddit that was talking about how Formula One drivers, I think more so than any other profession, reaction timing and all that stuff is like so fucking crucial. I mean, it's literally life and death. And
Mhm.
that's something people talk about with CS all the time, that like if you're young, you just straight up have the advantage of having quicker reaction times. But I think the point someone was making is that it's not that black and white. Like the age, sure, maybe it factors in somewhere, but like it does not tell the full story. And there's multiple examples in both sports of that. Like it is possible that there's older Formula One drivers and that there's older CS pros. I think that there is an advantage in that you have to probably do a lot more to stay as sharp. But I definitely don't think that it's this like black and white impossible thing that like, oh, a 34-year-old can never beat a 20-year-old. It's like, I don't know. Like I think you also got to give credit to the years of experience and the, how calm you can be while playing on a stage because you've done it 50 100 times. Like I think there's so many factors that you have to consider as well, that like age benefits you.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that, and I think that as you know, esports as a whole kind of develops, that we're gonna see older folk more often. I think that people like I'm 24. I think people my age going forward 10 years now, we're gonna see a lot more of those 30 plus people playing in these kind of tier one environments. Uh, like it just seems natural. Like it just makes sense. I don't see why people have such a focus on age in the the degree they do. But well, at least like demeaning terms like unk. I
Yeah.
imagine it's not super pleasant to the ears.
I mean, I don't know. I fuck with it. I think if you just kind of wear it proudly. Honestly, as far as unk shit goes, I don't think I've like talked about this with anyone, but like a passing idea and thought that I've had since getting into CS and then making the video and everything of like um doing, I don't know about like hosting myself or organizing or anything like that, but I thought that it would be really funny but also really interesting to have a tournament called like an Unk tournament or something, where you have to be at least like 28 or like 30 years old to get in, and the rest of your team has to be that old too, just to,
Ooh.
just to see. You know what I mean? That I think doing that, whether it's with pros or even other content creators, like that's kind of an idea I've had in the back of my head this whole time. And as time goes on, I think I'm more and more interested in it. Because also that's just like a funny ass name for like a charity event or something. But having like Unk Strike or Uncle
Unk
Strike sounds
Strike.
fucked up.
Unk just
Doesn't it
sounds
sound?
fantastic.
Isn't that like Uncle Strike is so funny, but also I think that that's kind of hype too. That if, I mean, you could even raise it a little higher, but I think just because I'm 30, and not even that I would necessarily compete, but even just like hosting it or commentating or whatever, I'd definitely do that. But just because I like, we're out here, man. We're here. Let's be represented. Let's get the unks in the chat.
So, speaking of commentating, is that something that you'd be interested in doing in the future as you play more CS and kind of get more familiar? Like is that something you'd want to do?
Dude, I mean, I think someone was asking that in the chat the other day, and never say never. Like I do have some brief experience, like hosting Q&As for different events and things like that, that I know that I'm not super nervous like with a mic in front of a crowd or anything. So I do feel confident in that way, and that I can yap. But as far as a knowledge base of CS or doing anything with that, I think it's a never say never thing. That I guess short answer is yeah, definitely interested, but I think that that's something that would have to come with time. I feel like I'm still pretty baby with CS. Like I don't even have 1,000 hours yet. I feel like that feels, for whatever reason in my mind, I've always had that as like a pretty significant moment. Like I crossed 500 and I was like, oh, okay, I'm in this shit. But like 1,000 feels like, okay, you've done some time.
Oh, 100%. Like I recently crossed over 6,000, I think in April, and I audibly said, "Oh my god," when I looked at that number,
Yeah.
cuz I've poured so much of my life into the game. So it's kind of an enjoyable thought though. Just thinking about, when you look at that number, I think it's very rewarding, that you've time and time again, despite, trial and tribulation, that you're just like, all right, time to boot up the good old usual.
Yeah, I mean that's how you really love it. I think on the one hand you could look at it and be like, "Oh my God, I've wasted so much of my time." But at the same time, it's like, especially when playing with friends or just like developing a skill, that is, in my mind, that is not time wasted. I'm with you that I look at, I mean, I literally pulled up Steam as we were talking, and it's like CS2, it's 524, and Source, because sometimes we'll still play it, it's 256. So, that's like 700 something hours. And I'm like, man, I cherish all that. I love that.
Source, funnily enough, despite being, people would consider it defunct, still
Right.
has like a pretty sizable player base, and I think the big reason why is because of movement, like when it comes to surfing. Is that of any interest to you as well? Like, have you looked into any of that at
Yeah,
all?
dude. Yeah, so I've actually never done a surf map. We were talking about that on stream, that I think in particular doing fuck, what are they called? The like crazy movement maps that ROPS
KZ?
like, yeah. That shit is so nuts, and I think that along with just generally everything, and particularly spraying and fucking aim training and counter strafing and all of the CS stuff, I think movement is something that I'm really bad at, and something that like I would really benefit from doing shit like that. But also just on like a more fun for shits and giggles side of things. I just want to try surfing because obviously I've seen it all over the internet for years and years and years. You got fucking Leafy videos or like
Oh
pros
yeah.
doing it, or like it looks, such a sucker for like skill based movement stuff, like grinding, wave dashing, and Smash Bros, or
Yeah.
even on my desk playing with a fingerboard until I can do tricks. Like I love those like minute things you just grind over and over. So I can already tell I would get super into surf maps. Maybe that's why I haven't done it, because I knew I wouldn't want to stop.
Well, whenever the time comes, I'll get you with my buddy Mump. He's a more known Counter Strike streamer that does surf, and
Oh, nice.
he has taught his fair share. But I mean, he's kind of the one that kind of got me into surf. I'm not super into it myself, but as of like the level of competitiveness, like they have different groups for times, like as of like how good it is. Like there's obviously world record, and then they have like group 1 through group 6, and they it's so particular. But that, I guess that kind of is the same thing like with Premiere, where you see a number and you want to, I guess in this case you want to get it lower, but it's still equally as competitive. So that's
No,
that's
totally.
cool. All right, well, moving on. Oh, actually, no, sorry, not moving on from pro stuff just yet. Austin Major. I'm assuming you're thinking Vitality is gonna win.
Yeah, I think Vitality, that like, gun to my head, I have to pick a team that
Yeah.
I hope wins, and if I'm betting or something, I think I go Vitality. But I don't think it's super black and white. It feels really close. I feel like Spirit could come out. I feel like honestly not super confident that FaZe with Simple will. I think if they make it to the playoffs, kind of like Kerrigan said, I think that would just be really awesome in itself. That I just think it'd be cool if they did well. But I do think that Falcons could. I think that they could give them a run for their money, just like they, previously have gotten really close. I think Falcons, and I think a little bit left field, like, a Mongols or something like that, that have done pretty well off and on. I think that's what makes the major so exciting, and also with the pressure and the stage that comes with it, I think that kind of throws a wild card in there. Not literally the wild card team, but who knows, man? Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think as of like, if we're looking at cinema, as of like, oh my god, this is the coolest major I've ever seen. But I mean, that's not going to be Boston 2018. But uh, simple with FaZe, just him coming back like into a proper team. Because like, yeah, he was in Falcons for a little bit, but like nothing ever came of it. Now there's this really cool FaZe team with that they could cook. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a Complexity fan. I'm honest about Counter Strike, and I think Vitality's gonna win it. I'm gonna be honest. Uh,
Yeah.
they just.
You know how to take an L.
Did you see the one that just happened like a couple hours ago from?
No, dude. I saw that the stream started and I haven't caught it.
So Complexity lost against OG 3-13, and
Oh,
OG's newest player
brother.
Nikados he tied the record for the best land performance ever. he went
What the
he,
fuck?
he
That's the
went
Red Bull team, right?
yeah, he went 33-6. He had a rating of 3.08.
Holy shit.
It was there was a point where we were losing where I thought, okay, well, this sucks, and then I started watching. I was like, okay, you know what, game recognizes game. This is brutal, but damn. Like,
Yeah, dude. What the
it's
fuck?
it's very rare that you see performances like that.
I do think, as we were talking, I brought up HLTV. I 100% was forgetting about Mouse because they showing crazy promise. And I think a really cool part of that is Spinks it's like the ROPS effect too, but it's kind of happening with Spinks with Mouse, that it's like, oh shit, was he the missing piece? Because he seems to be consistently like more effective over on Mouse. And I think that that's really cool too. So I don't know, maybe they could take it.
That's, I mean, all those are really fair. But I mean, yeah, objectively, I'm gonna have to agree with the vitality point because they just looked so good.
They don't crumble under pressure, man. Like regardless of the scoreline and the fucking odds, they just like Flamesy, Mezzy, Rops, obviously Zywoo, Apex, like each one of them will have moments where they keep them in the game in the most high pressure situation. It's like, okay, if you have every single person able to win those moments, like that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, that's fair. So I know you couldn't secure tickets for the Austin major. You're doing a watch party for that. As of the next major, I don't know if you heard, it's gonna be in Budapest.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Buddha.
Yeah. Any possible plans for that in December?
Oh man, I'd love to travel anywhere for any sort of CS event. I think particularly a major because I also just really want to go back to, obviously, like it'd be because I've been to Europe briefly, like
Mhm.
Paris and Berlin, and I think that specifically going to like Cologne or Katowice would just be, even though they're not majors, like they may as well be, just because I ain't gotta tell you shit, but
Cologne,
I think
100%. Yeah.
I think doing a specific overseas trip. So yeah, man, I think that going to Hungary would be amazing. And also, man, with the Austin Major, like, not gonna lie, I have been in the DMs with some people of potentially getting a hookup, and I don't know how it's looking, just because it's kind of the asterisks of like I'm not gonna go if I can't bring my boys, specifically like Shig, Jake,
Yeah.
and so and everyone that's already planned New York trip. So it's probably not likely, but I think I might throw out some Hail Marys just to just to make sure, but it's probably not going to happen. But to
Listen,
answer your question, yeah, 100%, I would be so interested in going to Hungary. That would be awesome.
all right, well, moving on from pro stuff. Obviously, we have to talk about skins in some capacity.
Straight up.
What was the first skin that you bought? Like, what really like brought your attention to something?
I think it was the Slate AK, because I think I knew about skins and I knew about the gambling in a very minor way, and then I fell down that rabbit hole and watched the CoffeeZilla videos and everything. But
Mm.
I think realizing that, oh yeah, I had forgotten that you can actually just buy the skins directly, and that on top of the Steam marketplace there's skin sites where a lot of them are actually cheaper because you're not stuck to the Valve currency,
Hmm.
that are using a Valve wallet. And I think the Slate AK, because it was that combined with the ability to put stickers on. And initially I was buying those like pinup girl stickers because when you like scraped them a little bit, it actually looked really sick on the gun. And then I was like, oh, there's like so many other stickers that they have a different image when you scrape them. And then when I saw that YouTube short that was like the Mac 10 with the snakes and being Snake Boy, and that collectively the entire skin would cost me like $6, I was like,
Sold.
oh, oh shit, this is actually such a cool world. Like the gambling and minors shit aside, I think it's so cool, like the flexibility you have. And I have such a love for that kind of shit that I think that was my gateway drug into being like, okay, now let's buy a whiteout USP that's min wear for $50. Okay, oh, there's a P250 that's whiteout. Oh, I could do completely white and black loadout. Oh, I could get these gloves. Oh, I could get this knife. And then before you know it, you have like an $800 to $1,000 inventory, and you're like, oh, this is cool and all, but also maybe not right now. But I don't know. I think, for example, Jake, because he's between Go and CS2 and Source, he has like 8,000 hours or something, all
Mhm.
games collective. Years ago, like 2017 or whatever, the knife that he has, which is a flip knife, a Doppler that I fucking love, and he's just had it for a billion years. It's so clean, and he has them with like the case hardened like Hydras, so he's just got kind of like a blue vibe going on.
Mhm.
That at the time, we got it for him for his birthday, me and his brothers, and it was like 200 or 300 bucks or something, and it's obviously worth a lot more now. I think it's like more than doubled that probably. I don't know, maybe it's like 500-600 bucks. I'm not sure, but I think on the one hand, holy shit, you paid this much for a cosmetic. Like objectively, if I'm not into the game and I see that, I would be a person clowning on them and being like, "That's so irresponsible. What are you doing?" Blah blah blah. And maybe this is just me like um coping. Like this is cope talk for having spent money, and I'm probably gonna spend more money once I buy my skins back when I hit 12K again. But
Mhm.
I think when you think about that being his main hobby and that he spent 4,000 hours after that playing the game using that knife, that money feels like a drop in the bucket for how much enjoyment he's gotten out of that skin for so many years. So when I think about it that way, I'm like, 200-300 bucks, that was also like a gift to him. That doesn't, when you think about that for like, something you're going to use frequently for 10 plus years, that I think when you think about it that way, you kind of understand why these items are priced how they are, but most of it just goes back because it's cases and gambling and stuff. But I think it's just a really complicated relationship, but at the end of the day, I just love cosmetics, and I think the fact that they can have that personal um like attachment to them, which is so cheesy and dumb, but it's part of the reason why I'm kind of sad I sold not all my skins. I'm happy I sold my skins and then like helped Jake get a PC and stuff. Like I stand by those choices and at the time and everything, but like I think specifically my whiteout USP that I had like a little snake sticker on, and it was like a really big special moment that I got it, and I like ranked up to like 7K or something. Like sometimes I think about that and I'm like, fuck, I wish I didn't sell that. Like just because the sentimental attachment, even though it's literally an NFT. But anyways,
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I've tried comparing it to like a night out, where people spend X amount of money over, say you go out X amount of times a month, in comparison to, a cheaper knife, those kind of things. At least to me, I feel like it balances out. But then, same thing you said, where it's like if I'm spending this amount of time on the game, it balances out fairly. So it's not too bad in my opinion. But I also think that because the fact that you can sell these skins for actual cash is pretty relevant. But it's interesting that no other game has done what Counter Strike does. Like, I
yeah,
mean,
no one else has effectively pulled it off.
do you think that's even possible? Like, if somehow Fortnite came out with something like that, or do you think it's just going to be like a Counter Strike exclusive thing?
I think that in the way, I think A, Valve is so smart in ways that are good and ways that are also sometimes fucked up, and that like they knew what they were doing with the cases and making them like sticky and all that shit. Like they know what's going on, but at the same time, like they are so smart with how they have done it, and that it only works because Counter-Strike works. Like Counter Strike has existed for so long, it will always exist. There are games like Valorant, there are games like Call of Duty, there are all these other games that do similar things and sometimes do them a lot better. But like the fact that Valve has maintained a certain level of quality and that there still isn't anything quite like it, even with the flaws and unoptimized shit that CS2 has, I think that that comes first. And then you have Valve's engineering wizards and like, analysts of psychology that know how to get people addicted to shit on top of that. And then you have that perfect storm. But dude, I like to think that like even they didn't understand just how big of a thing it would eventually turn into, and that you would have these skins that are worth like 15, 20K that are one of one or whatever. Like it's hard to think that they knew it would quite get to that point, but they are so smart at like making things work, which is ironic given the problems with CS2 or the anti-cheat, that it's like not to throw a bunch of shade at them because shout out Valve, but um I guess yeah, short answer is no. I don't think on this same level, and like I guess pedigree is maybe the word I'm looking for, that another game would achieve of having such a storied like history with the skins, because that's part of the charm too, is that so many skins that are worth so much that have these crazy fucking hollow stickers on them is because the game has existed for so long. So I think EA or fucking Sony, with shit like Concord, or anyone that's like trying to get into these live service-y, microtransaction-y type marketplaces, like good luck. Like have a game that's existed for 20 plus years first and then maybe try it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
good fucking luck doing it like they've done. It's I think as of right now it's pretty one of one. And I think Call of Duty and Fortnite have found ways to make millions of dollars too in a much more like direct and, to be honest, fugly way with how many crazy skins and shit Call of Duty has. They just threw any like reverie for military realism out the window. They're just like fucking Nicki Minaj versus Weed Man, and it's like, all right, you're
I'm
making
gonna spend
money, so
$300 on that. Sure.
yeah, no, and we're all guilty of it too. Like I play Call of Duty with Rick, and he buys all the weed guys, and it cracks me up every time. So it's like I'm not above it, but it's also like kind of gets away from the source. But it's just all about making money.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that like those other games don't have it to where you can't get further value out of that initial purchase is kind of frustrating, you know? Because like, for example, and I mean, I can't because I'm currently victim of a trade ban, which I'll get into a little bit later. People, I lost my train of thought.
Well, no, to get you back on the train, I'm remembering part of your question was because you can sell them, and that is a very like I think what you had already said, that's also a huge distinction I kind of just glossed over, is that like you can't do that with any other games. You buy a Fortnite or Call of Duty skin, you're stuck with it. And I think that combined with the storied like history and the randomness of cases have just created that perfect storm of like when you get something that's special, it's really special, and that's why it's worth thousands of dollars.
So that's what I was gonna get into is my inventory. In January, I unboxed a skeleton knife fade, which is like $1,400,
Let's
which
go.
is ridiculous.
I'm gonna look this bitch up. I want to see it.
Hold on, I'll get you a. I guess I could just.
Dude, skeleton knives are in. So many more pros and people are using them because they're like, wait, hold up, this is kind of cool.
It's funny. I actually unboxed two of them because I got this one in January,
Man,
and then
in
April. In April, I got a skeleton vanilla from one of the new cases.
Do you open a lot of cases?
In some capacity, I would say, yeah, somewhat. Like, it's not something that I get off work. It's like, all right, let's crack open $50 of cases. It's something like, I compare it to like a night out where it's like, okay, well, I just got paid. Let's throw $30 at it. Why not? And sometimes it comes to fruition. Sometimes it doesn't.
Do you think collectively you have spent more on cases than you've made in skins?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like I bought and sold probably $20,000 worth of skins in my time playing, and like, I mean, like for myself, like for my personal collection, like right now, I'm currently borrowing like a pair of gloves and like a knife from a friend, which those are priced at now $3,000. They were sub 1,000 before that, which is terrifying.
Wait, talk your shit. What are the gloves and knife?
So it's from my buddy Al. Shout out Al. It's a sports gloves Knox, minimal wear.
Oh, fuck you, bro. That's like, I know they're just black, and you could just go default T that are also black. But like,
they're different.
They're different, bro. My dream loadout is to like have all white on CT and all black on T side with the Nox and a vanilla M9. So like you don't even gotta feel, dude. I know how expensive they are. Talk your shit. I love the Nox.
I tried buying them from my friend when I got them in I think it was October for like $600, and now like the lowest float minimal wear is 1,700. So
yep, sounds right.
That's a bit ridiculous. I actually, come to mention it, I do have something for you whenever my trade ban is up. It's this Desert Eagle Knight. I got it in a trade up, but you have to hit that elo first before you get it.
100%, bro. Damn, that's so generous. Dude, part of my my goals I was writing out, because I don't know if you were there on stream. I was like, okay, 12K, I'll rebuy inventory, and then 13K, I was like, oh, I'll do some gifted subs, and so much of chat was like, fuck that, we already spent money on subbing, buy skins. I was like, okay, all right, damn then. And so I actually put, because one of the the white and black skins I didn't get before, I put on the goal was a print stream deagle that at least for one side to have, because it's mostly white. If I wanted to do like the fully white on one side, fully black on one side, which I don't even know if I'll do that, but like
Mhm.
again, the other deagle I was looking at that fits the black white theme was the knight. So that's, man, you are far too kind. I mean, honestly, you ain't got to do all that. That's
It,
that's way too nice.
it's a bit of ways away. Are you familiar with the armory exploit at all?
Was it when people went into like death matches to get crazy star experiences or
Yeah.
experience points?
So from what I understand, how it broke down was that these cheaters would inject something into a lobby where you like if you got like multiple knife kills or just like I think yeah knife kills give the most like points, but like the more points that you got a ton more stars. And so like I remember when that first started in 48 hours, I spent I think it was like $320 on passes because I was just churning through them like nothing. And I mean I got some okay things out of it. I got like a factory new Krakow and like a minimal wear Zeus Dragon Snore, so like nothing crazy. But as a result of that, myself, Doo-Wop, Arrow, a ton
Yep.
of people got banned for a year. So come October 1st, there's gonna be a lot of happy people. Tell you what.
Dude, I feel, yeah, man, all these fucking CS creators that I've watched, you see that yellow banner so much, and I'm like, oh, y'all did the same exact thing as each other. You all did that shit.
It's not a banner anymore. It's just a little button on the top
Yeah,
left.
and yeah, I saw that they fixed that too, which is
It, it's
hilarious.
so much less demeaning because now whenever I go do any casting, I don't have people coming into the chat and saying, hey, what's that yellow bar for? I don't have that. You get a comp ban? It's like not quite. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
damn.
kind of a blessing though at the same time because I don't feel the urge to just go sell something off the second it's tradable. Like it could sit in my inventory and I can enjoy it. So there's
Hmm.
it's a different thing on it because I mean that's how a lot of people are is unless they have like a set loadout, like it's gone. It's
Right.
done and
It
dusted.
kind of, it makes you reevaluate your patterns.
So I guess focusing back on skins again, as of because I mean you have moved into multiple different like creative mediums, creating music, creating YouTube videos, of course. When it comes to skins, a lot of these are made on a community workshop, the Steam one specifically. Is that something when it comes like a skin or a sticker? Is that something that you'd want to do possibly down the road?
I mean, shit, I've never even thought of that. I mean, I've thought of it in the way that I wish that they had more whiteout skins, man. Those are my favorite. And I think as much as I love my Snake A47, I've seen people prototype like a whiteout AK and I'm like, fuck, that is the coolest shit I've ever seen. So, I guess yeah. I don't know. I like anything creative, and obviously I fucking love skins and everything, but I forget that's how that works. I mean, could you educate me more on how do they get selected to actually be a part of like a case in the marketplace?
So I guess from what I understand, when a skin is published on the Steam Community Workshop, people can leave ratings on it, and in some capacity, Valve looks at those uh, and kind of goes off of there because it's not only just case skins, but it's also like operation skins previously, like the Op Gungnir, that $15,000 op. Some dude made that. And some of the skins are Valve made. That there's some truth to that, but a lot of them are community made. And you know, with CS2 adding certain things like custom sticker placement and like lenticular effects, things like that, like it's made skins so much more, I guess, interesting. And that's probably why the market is as crazy as it is because people they want a piece of that. Uh,
I mean,
but
and that's the thing that was part of my coping when I did buy finally, like the snow leopards or my knife, even though they were on the cheaper side as far as like, more luxury, I guess, items, was that, oh, these are going to hold their value or at least get more because like the game is only getting more popular. And I think that is true. Like it can be used as a coping thing to drop a bunch of money and like I'm not going to spend all my savings on skins and be like, it's an investment, honey. But it's I think that it does look pretty positive as far as the future of skins, that it does feel like a pretty sound thing that Valve is only implementing more and more shit like you're saying with the charms and what they're doing with the Austin major. Aren't they doing like fuck, I'm like blanking, but
It's like
I
a
could have
custom
sworn.
keychain for like the
Yeah,
playoffs. So like if
which
you
is
box
so
it from the
cool.
souvenir package, it just has a thing, and you could view it in your opponent's POV. They've never done something like this, so I have no idea come quarterfinals what this is gonna look like. But
Mm-hmm.
they really are trying to get to the nichest of niche things, I guess.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, it's so it's so smart when you already have an ecosystem that is so profitable and that people are already like customizing so much that like, okay, we have name tags. Okay, now we have charms. Okay, we do this that it's I'm I'm of the opinion of like I want them to have more sleeve options, man. Like I love that they have
Like
the
more
amount of agents
agents.
that they do. Yeah, more agents, but specifically options of like roll their sleeves up, roll their sleeves down, change not that it has to go full fucking TF2, but like maybe you change the color of their mask or like give them a hat or don't give them a hat. Like not to be fully goofy, TF2 stacking hats and shit, but I think on the rabbit hole of skin stuff, that was one thing that coming in as an outsider and realizing all the skin stuff, and then you can also pair it with the sleeves and shit. The agents was the one zone where I felt pretty disappointed about the lack of options, just because it's like they have skins on skins on skins, and then you get to the agents, and especially on like T side as far as sleeves and stuff, and it's like, oh man, like give me some more colors, give me some more options.
Yeah, it's kind of weird as of that because I'm not sure if you know, but on like Face It, for example, you can't have agent skins. Like they force you to have the defaults on any map. So it's
Right.
definitely more on the casual side. But at the same time, though, the whole point of skins and stickers and everything else is just about freedom of expression, and like they have a good amount already, but if they could kind of develop more onto that, it's definitely, I mean, it just has more combinations, which it fits certain loadouts, and it's just more, it's just better, with that.
Yeah, no, what you're saying that watching obviously pro stuff and then watching some Face It, it's like Jake playing, I was like, oh, that I do get it. I do get why it's less of a focus on Valve because not everyone in their player base is going to use agents. But at the same time, everything that you're saying about the customization and that like so much of the player base is, whether it's comp or Premier, it's like you may as well throw it in there. You know what I mean? Like it's just free money at the end of the day. Like I don't know. I'm always all for more options, and I think between the gun skins, there's already so many options, and that I think the other thing that I'm actually surprised they haven't added is watches and like bracelets, just because like Call of Duty has like watches and stuff, and I do think that that's pretty sick. Of like along with the charms and shit, if they had like different kinds of watches and placements and stuff, I would fuck with that.
Technically, there's some agents that have, there's one agent that has a like a rose gold watch, and then a couple that have like a gold one. I'm not sure on the exact ones, but they technically have that. But like I get what you're saying, though, like as of like further
An item.
customization. Yeah.
Yeah, like you could put it on any agents, and I get that that's just tough because that's like you got to make sure it works on every single model, and it's a whole other thing that I imagine is a pretty hard addition, but at the same time like they're doing charms and that couldn't have been easy to implement, so
Especially with how they move and stuff like that. Yeah, couldn't be
yeah,
easy.
yeah. No, I think watches would be a huge thing because I think a thing that's also I had a bit in my video that I ended up cutting that just because of pacing and everything, but when I was like talking about skins and explaining them, I made the comparison of like a lot of the most expensive skins are expensive for a reason because they're rare and they actually look really cool. But I think we both know that there's a lot of skins that are really expensive and rare that are also kind of fugly, but people want them just because they're worth a lot. And I
A
was
hundred
like,
percent.
it is 100% like real life where people only want to wear the most like fugly pair of Gucci sneakers because they know that everyone else knows how expensive they are. And it's so funny how like it exactly repeats itself in a virtual world where like, oh, I want that gun just because I know it's one of one and it has all these rare stickers on it, even though there's like no consistency or aesthetic with the stickers with the skin. You know what I mean? That it's all just about like how much it's worth versus how it actually looks. And so I think when you see a pro rocking like slingshot gloves with like a fucking ruby they're actually coordinating it and they're expensive and rare, it's like okay, I could fuck with that. Like you're using these items in a way that's actually really sick. But when it's just like, anyways, all just to say that I had that thought that if they did add watches, it would be the exact same thing where like a fucking super gaudy Rolex would be the most popular just because it would probably be the most rare, even though it probably doesn't look good on most sleeves and stuff. Like it would just do that. But anyway,
I could definitely see the appeal on that. And I guess as well, you know, because you talked about everything under the sun when it comes to customization. I see that you really haven't talked a ton about stickers. How familiar are you with those? Like what's is there like a particular sticker that you look at that you're just like, I want to put this on every gun in my inventory ASAP?
it's those snakes, man. It's the coiled strike when you scrape it and the fucking stalking prey, only because they both turn black and white and they're both snake related that like even on my that whiteout USP I had that I wish I didn't trade, like it's sneaky that you only see it if you inspect it, but that had like some snake stickers just on the handle. And I think shit like for the most part I actually really like the clean look of guns. Like I'm not crazy with stickers unless there's like a specific craft in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But those snake ones, once I realized that you could change the scrape level, that's like a whole other can of worms. We're like, wait, some stickers are actually like two stickers at once? What the fuck?
That's fair. I'm gonna send you a picture of what my current AK is. Uh, so on the back of it is a I Buy Power Hollow from Katowice 2014. One of the last sales for that, I believe, was $61,000.
Holy shit. And it's scraped?
It is. Everything on that gun is in fact scraped.
Did you do that on purpose?
I was not the one that did it. I got it that way. But CS2 is a lot more friendly with how scraped stickers look in comparison to Go. Because if I look at the skin in Go, it is ugly. But
Yeah, I mean this is hard though. Like this is the type of shit where things that are worth a lot of money or have like a historical reference, like the whole red theme, dude, I'm all in on my like black and white, like all white or all black or whatever, like more monochrome setup, but red, such a popular like theme with pros and shit, like Flom shout out, but like I love that is the other color that I would go all in on. Like the options for red skins and stickers are so good, and this is such a prime example of that. Like the skin is sick.
yeah, to the surprise of no one, it's a one of one. Because why would anybody do this? But it's yeah, it, it's it's
How
something that
much
I
is
really
this worth? Like skin and stickers included. How much do you think this is
so
worth?
so that's the interesting thing about the skin market, because past, you know, what would be considered like a liquid skin, you know, like if it's just like, you know, your stiletto vanilla, for example, like that is easier to sell because people face value can look at that and go, this is a stiletto knife, there's nothing else special about it, I'm gonna enjoy it. But there's a whole different marketplace when it comes to like lower float skins or higher float skins, and then like stickered items, you know. So like myself, one of my favorite things to do is I collect souvenir stickers, or sorry, souvenir skins of my favorite pro, Nothing. I have a ton of, you know, guns with his souvenir on it. But there's also people I know that collect like very low float, very high float skins. Are you familiar with that? Like with the conditions, like the float value?
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, people go crazy over that, and then they stickered skins as well. So like, you know, there's, you know, throughout the years, people have made crafts with guns that, you know, initially were very cheap but became ridiculous. A great example is a an AK Redline with 4 of those I Buy Power Kato 2014 hollows. A skin like that, easily $50,000, just because of the
Yeah.
fact it has those stickers on there.
Which is nuts. I mean, and awesome, but also just nuts.
Yeah, I mean, is if you were to receive something like that, like would you rock something that has like particular stickers that either if they look cool, or if it's something that's like cool because it's, I guess, worthwhile, like it's financially worth something.
I think yes and no. I think I'm pretty set and I'm such a nitpicky, like perfectionist bastard for details that if I say like, oh, I'm doing like a monochrome or like a black and white setup, like I'm pretty dead set on sticking with that. So like even if something is worth a shit ton of money, if it doesn't fit that theme, I'm the type of person that's like, all right, I don't want to rock it then. Like I think if it scratches both of those things, that's great. But I'm so much more about just how it looks versus like how much it's worth.
Yeah, that's totally fair because there's a ton of skins that are on the cheaper side that just look incredible, and some that are worth
Exactly,
thousands
man.
that are just like garbage. Like,
It's that was the amazing realization for me is that like, print stream stuff aside, like or like, a graphite op or something like that being on the higher end, like the majority of skins I wanted were like under $100, if not way less. Like, a Kami 5.7 or whatever. It's like under $10 or 15 or whatever. So I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can commit to this."
yeah, I mean, that's definitely a more sound argument to some because, yeah, I mean, I am deep in the tank when it comes to Counter Strike Twitter, and I follow my fair share of people that spend money on stupider things. Like, I mean, great example was the 5.7 Kami. There is a particular pattern of that skin. I'm not sure how familiar you are with this.
Oh, I'm familiar.
Yeah.
I know you can hit some different licks with that skin.
Yeah, there's a particular pattern. It's dubbed the pussy pattern. That
Mm, straight up, straight up.
on average, at least previously, it was selling for like $500 to $600 just because it has that pattern.
Damn.
It's a little silly. I mean, I enjoy patterned skins myself. Like I recently got one that was it was a Og snake pit that just it had a frog on it. I
Nice.
it it just not the other ones had it, but this particular pattern did. So that's why I got it. So I guess just to close it out, and I'd love to chat a little after I end it here. When it comes to streaming, I know you've been on Twitch, but you mentioned dual streaming yesterday. What's your game plan on that?
Trying to figure that out. I think because I'm gonna stream tomorrow, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have the sort of pipeline and all the assets and shit figured out by tomorrow, which will be June 4th, Wednesday.
Mm,
But of looking into stuff today, actually spending most of my afternoon before this researching stuff about that. It's definitely something I'm gonna set up and start streaming to my second channel, Jaquan the Jequel, which will be name changed to NakeyJakey's Ball Pit, just because I think it's time to sunset Jaquan. But
it's been there
shout out
for
the
some years. That's fair.
shout out the Jequel, yeah, and not really getting a lot of action, and also I think it would just be a better name that makes more sense. So yeah, no, I see no reason not to cast it over there and be able to save the VODs and stuff. They won't have any music on them though, just because the copyright stuff. So I
Yeah,
like to play stuff through Spotify, and so on YouTube it'll be quiet, so that'll be a thing. But yeah, no, I think it'll be good.
somewhat more tame. Well, I'll go ahead and end it off here as of this. Jake, I appreciate you greatly. This is a fantastic
Hey,
conversation.
thanks for having me, man. I love to yap about CS. I love this shit, man. I'm fully in it.
If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you watching all the way through. Big shout outs to Jakey, of course, for taking the time to talk with me about my favorite game in the world. I've been watching Jakey for about 8 years or so at this point, so sophomore high school me would be freaking out just knowing that I got to be able to talk with one of my favorite creators about my favorite game in the world. NakeyJakey is going to be live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which will be linked below, alongside his VODs channel, NakeyJakey's Ball Pit. Please show this man all the love and support. He deserves every little bit of it. And yeah, thanks for watching.